Welcome once again to another lesson in the New Testament is Fake series on the Alok Emmett channel, Twitter, YouTube, Patreon. This is August 3rd, 2021. My lesson today is titled, Jesus Did It Again. Jesus did it again. I was thinking that a lot of Bible teachers and preachers I've heard over the years, they were telling sinners that they should do whatever it takes to make it, whatever they have to give up, because they couldn't choose Jesus Christ and they couldn't give up this or that from their lives. But I'm thinking for the Bible teachers who need some kind of change as well that they need to make in their lives, are they willing to do whatever it takes? What if whatever it takes is actually you giving up your doctrine? Are you willing to do whatever it takes? Because that's the choice I had to make at one point too. Am I willing to give up my doctrine? And I certainly did. And then I found out this Jesus is fake from the New Testament. Now, in this lesson, Jesus did it again. I want to start out reading from the book of Matthew, chapter 12, verse 38 to 39. And the lesson here centers around a sign, the sign that these people were asking for. So now, Matthew 12, it reads here from 38 and 39. Then certain of the scribes and of the Pharisees answered, saying, Master, we would see a sign from thee. So at least they've got some respect. They're not just cursing him all the time. They said, Master. But they want to see a sign. We want to see a sign from thee. They want to see a sign because they know the law, they know the scriptures. They want to be sure that this is the person, this is the one that should come, the Messiah. This is the actual Son of God. We want to see a sign. Why do they want to see this sign? Again, I say to you, in other words, they want a sign from Jesus that they can use as a verification of his identity. Are you the one? Obviously, Jesus didn't want to give it to them because in verse 39, it goes on saying, But he answered and said unto them, an evil. See, they called him master, they were respectful and so on in the verse before, but he responds to them, basically letting them know that they're evil. But an evil and adulterous generation seeketh after a sign, and there shall no sign be given to it, but the sign of the prophet Jonas. Sounds kind of funny when I was reading it, because basically it says, there shall no sign be given to them because they are evil, but I will give you a sign. It is the sign of Jonas, if you go back and reread that story. That's what he's saying to them. But anyway, so he says, no sign. They're asking for a sign. He doesn't give them a sign. And my lesson just the other day was saying that if you ask for bread from the Father, he's not going to give you a stone and so on, right? So they ask for a sign and he gives them an evil answer. It just doesn't make sense. The faithful, you see, you can curse these people in the New Testament, call them Pharisees and Sadducees and so on, and make fun of them and say that they were not righteous and they were too filled up with the law and so on. The fact is, they are seeking. Because sometimes we think people who don't know much about God are filled with doubt. But the longer I live, I understand that sometimes the strongest doubt is from those who seem to know God. You look at this pandemic that we're going through now with churches shut down, religious houses shut down all over the world, and you understand that leaders of those congregations, they've shut up their buildings and they're praying and nothing is happening to change the situation according to the prayers that they've prayed. They've prayed strong prayers, some even spoke in tongues. And they're wondering, is this all real, what I have believed all along? They want to see some action from God. They want to see a sign. They want verification that their faith is true, that their God is real. So sometimes the people you think don't have any doubts, they've got the strongest doubts, stronger than you would think. So he tells them, no sign will be given to you. Basically, you are part of an evil and adulterous generation. So the faith seekers, the knowledge seekers, the Bible/Torah seekers were denied a sign of verification from Jesus. Why is that? Is that because Jesus could not verify who he was? We call him the Son of God, and the Bible says it in the New Testament. Is it because he could not verify that? Well, I don't know. You will say, of course he did verify. Well, hang tight. Let's run over now to Genesis chapter 1 and verse 14. Jesus refused to give a sign because he's basically saying, if someone has to ask for a sign, it is because they are evil inside. Something is wrong with them. They are not right in their heart, and so they want a sign. So you should be able to go the journey of faith and trust in God without having a sign. But let's see how the Most High handled it in the Torah. And again, you're listening to the Yalak Emet channel, Twitter, YouTube, Patreon, and this is the New Testament is Fake series. This lesson is titled, Jesus Did It Again. So look at it now. Genesis 1 and verse 14. The book is opening up now in the book of Genesis, creation story in chapter 1 and verse 14. And God said, let there be lights. Again, lights. So we're going to illuminate stuff now. Let stuff be clearly seen. But the people who were in darkness says, hey, we want to see a sign to verify this stuff. And Jesus wouldn't show them. He left them in the dark. But God said, let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and years. So real early in the book, the Most High / Creator, he wants to give a sign. And what does sign say here? A signal, a distinguishing mark. So people are going to be able to identify and know for sure. They're going to zone in on that distinguishing mark. A banner. So you're displaying this stuff, but Jesus says you're evil if you want this. It's a miraculous sign, an omen, all right? Token, miracle, proof. And they wanted proof that Jesus was who he was claiming to be, or who his disciples were making him out to be. But he says, you are evil and adulterous people. But the Creator gave a sign from the very start of the book. Exodus chapter 3, verse 2 to 3. This is the story of Moses getting the call to go and deliver the children of Israel. And he went up and he saw the bush burning and so on. So verse 2 and 3. And the angel of the Lord appeared in a flame. So again, notice here, this is sign something is coming out in the open. No hiding now, because somehow Moses should be seen as evil because he killed a man a long time ago and fled from Egypt. They're not looking at that. The Most High is not looking at that. The angel isn't distancing himself from him. He wants him to draw close. So he appeared. He's giving a sign. Appeared in a flame of fire. So he can't miss this because the sign should be obvious. Out of the midst of a bush. And he looked, and behold, the bush burnt with fire, and the bush was not consumed. So we see here that Moses was going to go now to see the bush that's burning. So the sign that the Most High gave, because it will let you know the angel is Elohim, the sign that the Most High gave through the angel in the burning of the bush is meant to draw one closer. Shouldn't Jesus have known the Torah to let these people, these doubting Thomases, if I might call them that, the Pharisees and so on from the New Testament, to let them draw closer by giving them the sign that their heart was seeking? So that today, 2,000 years later, people would not be cursing these Pharisees and Sadducees. Could Jesus have changed the history of the New Testament Israelites. He pushed away the wrong people. Man, I could build a lesson out of that right now. Wow. You see, yeah, he pushed away the wrong people. Anyway, yeah, because, I mean, if you are God like that, how can you just save only the little people, the peasants and so on, and the ones that you're going to choose that are poor and broke and so on, and who can't do much to change society, but the ones who can run the system, run society, the Pharisees, Sadducees, and so on, you can't reach those ones when the Bible says he that winneth souls is wise? You see? Those are the ones, because if you win those ones, the Pharisees, the top ones and so on, the lawyers, the people handling the law and so on, and running the system, and the priests that went astray and so on, if you win those ones, then they change the whole atmosphere of everyone's living in the land. See, Jesus dropped the ball. Because righteousness will lift up the nation, but sin is a reproach to the people. So he needs to get the people at the top. But he doesn't have the power and the wisdom to do that. So he shuns them and tells them they're evil, to stir up anger inside of them. No wonder they came and killed them later on. When the same Proverbs is saying in the Bible that angry words stir up wrath and so on. So he treated them in a bad way. So he looked, and behold, the bush burned with fire, and the bush was not consumed. And Moses said, I will now turn aside and see this great sight, why the bush is not burned. This word sight, look at it. It says it means appearance, vision, a phenomenon, a spectacle, appearance. So this is a supernatural phenomenon that's going on. In other words, people, God gave a sign. And Moses was drawn, was attracted to the sign. But Jesus shunned the people who sought for a sign and tell them, a wicked people, look for that stuff. Where is the wisdom of Jesus? Jesus did it again. He messed up once again in this New Testament. Let's run now to Exodus chapter 4, verse 1 to 2. And Moses answered and said, but behold, they will not believe me, because now he is being sent. He's like, the people aren't going to believe me. Nor hearken unto my voice, for they will say, the Lord hath not appeared unto thee. And the Lord said unto him, what is that in thine hand? And he said, a rod. So the Most High now, just the same way the people doubted in the New Testament, they wanted a sign of Jesus. When Moses says this now, God says, okay, the people are going to need some help believing. You're afraid that they won't blah, blah, blah. You got some doubt, just like these Pharisees in the New Testament had some doubt as well. You're in doubt as to how this is going to play out. So how does the Most High respond? He responds by giving a sign to Moses, and builds up on that by giving more than just one sign. And the Lord said, what's in our hand? A rod. Now let's go down to verse 7 to 9. Just to skip some of it, but we all know the story already. Verse 7, and he said, put thine hand into thy bosom again. And he put his hand into his bosom again, because remember he had thrown down the stuff and so on, the rod, like snake and whatever, pick it up and so on. Because he put his hand in his bosom again and plucked it out of his bosom, and behold, it was turned again as his other flesh. Isn't that a big sign right there? Moses seeing that stuff happen, that had never happened to him before, he'd be like, wow, now this is really powerful. If people would just see that happening, they'd be like, this must be God calling this man. Verse 8, and it shall come to pass, because they would have seen a sign that God is doing this to him. And it shall come to pass, if they will not believe thee, listen to this now, neither hearken to the voice of the first sign. Like Jesus could have given them a first sign and a second sign and so on. He chose not to do that because he dropped the ball. Jesus did it again. But he says, if they will not believe because of the first sign, that they will believe the voice of the latter sign. Because remember I said he did other signs up there, snake and so on, drop your rod, whatever. And it shall come to pass, if they will not believe also these two signs, neither hearken unto thy voice, that thou shalt take of the water of the river, pour it out upon the dry land, and the water which thou takest out of the river shall become blood upon the dry land. He's like, look, he's giving sign after sign to make sure that one, Moses is comfortable working for God. And if these Pharisees had gotten sign from Jesus, they would have been more comfortable running with the Torah and gathering the people saying, look, the Messiah is here, but Jesus dropped the ball. Right? But the Most High, he's not going to drop no ball like that. You see? Jesus, he says, I do what I see my Father do, and whatever I hear him say, I do. Something like that. Now, didn't Jesus hear and see his Father do all these miracles and signs from heaven to Moses? Because you say he was sitting on the right hand of God forever, pretty much, since he was created. So how come he didn't see and witness all this stuff going on to see how his Father handled a doubting situation with Moses, so that he could then do that stuff? Like they said, like Father, like Son. Why wouldn't the Son come and do the same stuff? You need a sign, sure. Here, bam, bam, bam. Here's a miracle. Here's a second miracle. Here's a third miracle. Jesus dropped the ball. Jesus did it again. All right. Now let's run now to verse 28 to verse 30. Or just 28 and verse 30 actually. Same Exodus chapter 4. And Moses told Aaron all the words of the Lord who had sent him, and all the signs which he had commanded him. He told him all the signs as well, because the signs matter. To win Aaron over and to let Aaron be strong in his faith and resolve to go ahead with working with Moses in this deliverance of the Lord, he had to give him the signs as well. So he told him about the signs, because the signs do matter. But Jesus said, you are wicked, you are evil, adulterous people, if you believe in looking for signs. And what about the signs, the sign of the covenant? And what about the sign in your flesh, your circumcision and so on? What that the Torah spoke about? What about the signs of Israel looking for at the moon and the sun and so on? Even today, Israelites are on YouTube teaching about the sign of the moon and the sign in the sky for the deliverance of Israel from Egypt in modern times and so on. You see, even today, but Jesus said, are wicked people. So are Israelites today on YouTube wicked because they're talking about the moon and this and eclipse and whatever, and the Sabbath, the sign in the sky, the moon for the Sabbath, or the full moon, full month and new month and so on, the new moon signs and so on? Are Israelites wicked for that? They did that in the Torah days and they're still looking for it today. But Jesus said just a wicked and adulterous. But you see, the Most High gave the sign so he could be known. When he goes back to the people in Egypt, they would know that this is God. So God is verifying his identity, that I am the one who sent this man Moses. Jesus doesn't want to verify his identity to let the people know he is the Son of God. He only wants to teach and do some fancy miracles for the poor. But when the uppity class now, the lawyers, the Pharisees and so on, when they come, he's like, look, because he don't want them to test him fully and size him up with the Torah the way I'm doing here. So he says, look, get lost. You are a wicked group of people. Verse 30, and Aaron spake all the words which the Lord had spoken unto Moses, and did the signs in the sight of the people. So the signs were so important that he didn't just simply go back to the people and tell them words. He did the signs as well. So the signs carried on from Moses going through the signs, doing them right on the mountain with the Most High. And even Aaron was still doing the signs because the signs were that powerful and that important. But Jesus said, it is not important for you to have no signs. You are a wicked and adulterous generation. Jesus did it again, man. I'm telling you. He just keeps dropping the ball throughout this New Testament when you line him up and size him up with Torah. Because line upon line and precept upon precept. But Jesus is dropping the ball all over the place. Every time he gets it, he's dropping it. And then the Most High, Jesus don't want to give his identity up and verify it with sign, but the Most High is verifying his identity. The scripture says the heavens declare the glory of God. That's the Most High showing his identity. Even in the heavens, everywhere you look down in the ground, you see the earth, that's God. You look at the trees, you see that's the Most High. You look up in the skies, you see that's the Most High. You see birds flying, that's the Most High. These are the signs, the evidence of a creator based on Torah. Because dummies out there saying there's no creator. But the ancient world, they believed it so. We live in modern times, we're cut off. What's the best we can do? But to go by what the ancients left behind, what they said, what they taught. They were living first at the start of earth, if there was a start to earth, and they said, look, there is a creator. And we're going to come now and act so smart and say there is no creator. It seems kind of dumb. But the fool that said in his heart, there is no God. So the book traps you all the time. And then I won't bother reading now, but Isaiah 11 and 12 set up an ensign when it's time to deliver us. That's basically a sign for the deliverance of the people, letting you know it's time to be regathered now. So the Most High is giving a sign then, even in Isaiah chapter 11, to let you know, Israel, this is the time for you to return now. It's always a sign when the Most High is doing his work and trying to show you verification that this is him. Because he wants you to be his witnesses. He says, yeah, my witnesses. Well, the only way you're going to be his witness is to have some kind of sign. And you see, Jesus dropped the ball there because he even knows that has to be true. He just don't want to do it with them. So he lied to them and tell them it's because you guys are wicked. Why you want that. But when his believers now, because they didn't believe in him, so he's like, get lost from me, you're a wicked people, because he knows they're going to test him with every line of Torah. But the ones who believe him now, they're gullible, so they believe him, so he gives them a sign. He said the Father will send Spirit, day of Pentecost. And what's the sign when they saw it? Cloven tongues like as of fire sat up on their head and they're speaking in tongues. Now everybody said, oh, we saw the sign, the cloven tongues like a fire. And so they now believe that, and their New Testament church starts growing. So Jesus is giving it to the lower gullible people who will walk around and believe him, his followers. But when the ones who know the Torah in and out come to question him, he tries to shun them, get away, get out of it. You guys are wicked, why you ask for that? But the ones who are just his followers, they're not going to drill him with Torah like that. So he just tells them anything, go wait in the upper room. And they're, oh, yeah. And they go in a frenzy and believe it and get it, supposedly. What about the sun and moon sightings from the ancient times and so on, right? Okay, now Exodus chapter 7 and verse 3, and then I got one more verse after that. And I will harden Pharaoh's heart and multiply my signs and my wonders in the land of Egypt. I'll read that again for you. And I will harden Pharaoh's heart and multiply my signs. He's just trying to give them no signs, but the Most High isn't just simply giving one sign. He says, I will multiply my signs. Notice what he said even to Moses when he's trying to give a declaration of himself, of his power, of his presence. So you can trust his word and know that it's him. He gave Moses a sign. He says, if they don't trust that, then do the second sign. If they don't trust the second sign, then do the third sign. And each sign just seemed to get bigger and bigger. Drop your rod. That's the first time. Pick it up. Oh, whoa, that's like freaky. Then now he says, look, and if you need more, push your hand in the bosom. Whoa, hey. And then he says, look, if they still don't want that, turn the water into blood from the river. That's going to freak everybody out in the land. You see, the signs grew. And the multiplication here is the same stuff, the same way the Most High worked. So Jesus should have gave multiple signs and big up the signs more and more and more and more and more and more and more. Until the people were like, this must be the Son of God. But no, he said, you're a wicked people. Don't come to me about no signs. I will harden the heart of Pharaoh and multiply my signs. I'm going to make it a whole lot. I'm going to make it strong and powerful and terrible. My signs are going to be so magnified. No one will be able to deny that God passed through this land. But Jesus said, I don't care about that. I'm not giving you any signs. But I will multiply my signs in the land of Egypt. Last verse, Exodus chapter 10, verse 1 and 2. And the Lord said unto Moses, go in unto Pharaoh, For I have hardened his heart and the heart of his servants, that I might show my what? My signs before him. Jesus didn't want to show the signs to the people, but the Moses said that I might show my signs before him, that thou mayest tell in the ears of thy son and of thy son's son what things I have wrought in Egypt, because even the story of the signs should continue to be told, so the knowledge of the signs will live on. But Jesus is like, no sign will even be in your ears or your heart. I'm not going to do anything for you. I'm not. Just get lost. That I have wrought my signs in Egypt, and my signs which I have done among them, that ye may know how that I am the Lord. That's how the Most High makes himself, that I am the Lord. That's why he says, even when he's taking us out of this modern day Egypt, with the Moses prophecy from Exodus, he says, then my people will know that I am the Lord, when I have brought you out of the lands where you are captive in. Why? It's the signs that he's doing among us to strike down our enemies and pull us out and bring us back to the land of the Most High. Then you're going to know that I am the Lord, because the Most High is always going to give signs to let it be known that he is the Lord. He is God. Twitter, YouTube, Patreon, Yalak Emmett channel, New Testament is Fake.